Disney's acquisition of 20th Century Fox has led to the company rebooting a number of Fox franchises. This includes the Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. This new movie in the Planet of the Apes franchise faces a unique challenge that perhaps the other Fox franchises being rebooted by Disney didn't have to face. The movie has to follow a great legacy, so let's talk more about it. First up, the great challenge faced by the Planet of the Apes alone. The Fox franchise of Planet of the Apes is made up of a super successful trilogy including Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, War for the Planet of the Apes, and Rise of the Planet of the Apes. These movies will always stay on our favorites lists for their impressive motion capture technology and strong performances. Seriously, we were all awed by the fantastic performance by Andy Serkis as Caesar. Now, it's been recently announced that the writer and director of the famous Maze Runner trilogy is going to direct and co-write the next movie in the long-standing series of Planet of the Apes. Yes, the man, Wes Ball himself, seems quite ready for the job with his impressive resume. We also got the news of the title of the new movie back in September of 2022. The name Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes was revealed to us even before production itself started in October of 2022. We can expect a great cast with names like Owen Teague, Freya Allen, and even Peter Macon in it. The 20th Century Studios revealed the news on Twitter that Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes will be released in cinemas in 2024. We can't wait. So the main question is, how will Disney manage to live up to the hype of this super successful trilogy in the making of Planet of the Apes? Will it even be successful? We all sure hope it is, because this could be the movie of a lifetime. Up next, Disney's other reboots from the Fox franchises. The Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes movie is the first of its series to be produced since the acquisition of 20th Century Fox by Disney. We do know that this isn't the only franchise being rebooted by Disney though. Some of these reboots have been pretty successful. Think of the excellent rebooting of the Predator franchise through Prey. So many of us are already lining up to buy tickets for Avatar: The Way of Water. Even though it's been years since the last movie from the Avatar franchise, the hype has not died down. There's also the TV series Alien planned for the near future. And of course, we're also pretty excited about new movies in the X-Men and Fantastic Four franchises. All in all, it would seem like Planet of the Apes shouldn't be any different from all these successes. But things are going to be different, aren't they? The road will be harder because Planet of the Apes has a much greater legacy to match than these other reboots. Coming up, other Disney movies which did not have to face this issue. Do you recall how Alien, Fantastic Four, and X-Men were doing before Disney's reboot? Remember that they're all coming off of some really bad movies or their entire franchise just fading away. In fact, look at Predator. It's been struggling as a franchise for a while. This only changed with the release of Prey. Coming to Avatar: The Way of Water, it's had its own fair share of difficulties. You know what? This franchise has been in the most trouble. Even though Avatar has held the status of being the biggest movie of all time, the producers were pretty unsure if the audience still even cared about this universe. Would you go watch the sequel to a movie you last saw as a kid? Do you even remember the story? We're not sure if you recall, but hardcore fans will tell you that Dawn of the Planet of the Apes and War for the Planet of the Apes, which were both directed by the great Matt Reeves, are absolutely fantastic movies. These were both shaped by building up on the first chapter in this series, Rise of the Planet of the Apes. Masterfully blending beauty, soul, and sci-fi, these movies have managed to portray some shockingly good motion capture technology. Next up, how is Disney dealing with this challenge? Some are even wondering if Disney's making a good decision with this reboot. Is rebooting the Planet of the Apes series so soon after the conclusion of the previous movie a smart choice? What do you guys think? Well, maybe in a world where Disney wasn't being clever about it, the whole thing may have gone down the drain. But so far, we have reason to believe they're doing a good job. Disney has been smart about this whole deal. They've made the decision to make Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes a sequel rather than a reboot. This isn't just a sensible move, it's brilliant. This genius tactic allows Disney to continue the story and timeline that's already been established in the previous movies. If they had decided to reboot the Planet of the Apes series less than a decade after the release of War of the Planet of the Apes came out, it would have been a major mistake. This is especially because we know that the Caesar trilogy deserved to be continued. Sure, they've centered the timeline much later than the last time we saw Caesar's story end. Turning to other smart moves made for the franchise by Disney. Now, the title of the movie also makes it seem like the apes may have become the dominant species and civilization on Earth. This is a very smart movie. It gives us a little teaser of the explanation of the apes' kingdom and power once Caesar himself died. We also note that this is a possible suggestion towards the apes becoming much more dominant as a species, and it's their civilization on Earth and not humans. This setup brings us much closer to to the power dynamic we initially saw in the first movie, Planet of the Apes. Overall, the unique challenge faced by Planet of the Kingdom of the Apes presents an exciting opportunity for the franchise to build upon the success of its predecessors and explore new storylines within the established universe. It's the beginning of something grand. We can feel it. Let's look at the exciting prospects of the franchise under Disney. It was pretty clever to pick up the story of the Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes so many years after the War of the Planet of the Apes ended. It sets us up for exciting developments in the movie. The last movie in the trilogy came out in 2017. The sequel's coming out 3 years after Disney bought 20th Century Fox. It's time for the story that began with our favorite character Caesar to advance many years into the future. It may come as a surprise to some, but Caesar's story is actually a prequel to the original film Rise of the Planet of the Apes. Tim Burton failed at remaking the 1968 film and decided to create a prequel that worked as an origin story for the planet Taylor encounters in the OG version of the movie. Up until the 2010s, the franchise still hadn't addressed many things like the astronauts, which would bring us closer to the story of the original franchise. Maybe this was because we were still years away from getting to that point in this story. This could all change now. Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes and its sequels could bring us much closer to the storyline in the original movie. After all, it is set years after the prequel ended. More about the time period in Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. There's obviously a ton of speculation on the internet about whether this movie will be a reboot or a sequel. Even if it seems to be an innocent sequel for now, could it set up the groundwork for future installments which could be reboots of the very original movie? We're pretty invested and eager for more information, but for now, let's speculate on the basis of whatever little we do know. The fourth installment by Disney is set many years after the war. This time, we think the franchise is pretty close to catching up with the original. Sure, the timeline of the OG Planet of the Apes isn't exactly easy to follow. Still, we have enough clarity to know that the original took place in a world where the apes were the dominant species for a long time. We also know that the War of the Planet ended with the crushing defeat of the last human army. Now we'll be jumping ahead of this to bring us to a time period where Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes and the original Planet of the Apes movie could be set in the same timeline. Finally, sequels to the Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes. We don't know if we'll be getting a 6th or 7th installment to the Planet of the Apes sequel. Still, shouldn't Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes set up a good groundwork for a new trilogy if it ends up being successful? This could be a little tricky because the new movie could potentially overlap timelines with the original one. Viewers could end up making major comparisons and assessments of major events that could clash. That's why we think that if they do end up making Planet of the Apes 4, 5, and 6, they'll probably tell us a story set in the same timeline but reimagining the events in the original movie from 1968. The initial trilogy already told us a whole different story for the origin of the apocalypse from what we knew in the original movies. This means that this could actually be a reboot indeed. Either way, it's going to be super tough to navigate the way of continuing a widely praised trilogy. They'll have the tough job of reinventing a classic OG in the sci-fi genre. That's no easy feat. Even so, we're pretty excited to see what the future holds for a universe of the Planet of the Apes. That's a wrap for this video, folks. Are you as excited as we are about the new installation in the Planet of the Apes franchise? Do you think it'll be a reboot or a sequel? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. Please like and subscribe. We'll see you in the next video.